What's up, Glue Dots? I'm Elaine, the Midnight Crafter. Tonight's project is a quick, easy farmhouse DIY, farmhouse style DIY that has many different options and many different ways that you can use it. So you can let your imagination go wild, figure out how you would use it, which I'd be fascinated to know. So let me know how you end up using yours. And let's see, I think that's about all I need to tell you. There's not much to say. But before that, I would love for you to join the Glue Dot family and stick around for a while. Hit the subscribe button below and the little bell next to it so that you know every time I upload a new video so you won't miss a thing. Okay, awesome. Let's get to it. Your cutting board and placemat are the first two things we're going to work with. What we're going to do is cut this placemat to fit the inside of this cutting board. So the best way I can think of to do that would be to create a template with paper. So I'm just taking an old piece of scratch paper from my printer and I'm going to put it on top of the cutting board and take the back end of my scissors and just rub until it kind of makes an indent, because the top of the cutting board is indented. So if you can follow along that line with your scissors or with anything, I mean any object you want, you can use whatever, the back of a pen or your fingernail if you want. That way it creates a bit of a line, a template for you. So then we're going to cut out along our template. That should fit pretty nicely. And then take the placemat, put your template on there. And I'm not going to put it on this very edge that has the seam on it. And then we're going to follow along and cut along the template we just made. Now if you want to trace it out first with a pen or something, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm just being lazy here. Sometimes lazy is not a good thing. Sometimes you end up messing up. So I would recommend probably tracing it out. But in case I do mess up, I do have the rest of the placemat, so that's a good thing. So see, that's going to fit. I think I'm going to put my white stripe up at the top. And I'm just looking, this is crazy. It's a little lopsided, so it seems like I'd rather put the stripe up at the top so that it doesn't show as much, but the placemat you get may not have that. Now another option, if you can't find a placemat that you do like, you can use some burlap fabric or any other type of fabric that you particularly want, or if you have the burlap ribbon or some type of ribbon that's a wider ribbon that you like, that's another option as well. Using our glue gun, I'm going to put some glue all around the edges and then some kind of just throughout the rest. There we go. Then carefully place your placemat. Maybe that's why they call it a placemat, because you carefully place it. Okay, putting that on there and pressing it down. We're going to set that aside now, and the next thing we're going to work on is our bottle. Now, funny thing, I found this little cup and I knew it was the perfect thing and I needed, and I didn't know what it belonged to because I found two of these randomly in the Dollar Tree, and I had to ask them, what this was a part of because I knew it had the little screw thing in there, so I had to go to something else. I just didn't know what. So that's what, in case you find it separately. We're going to take this and we're going to be covering this with the twine. What I'm going to be doing is cutting this in half, and then I will be wrapping around it with twine. So my halfway mark, it's going to be interesting. I think again the thing to do would be to take the paper template we used from before and create a template for the sake of finding the center points. Just gonna quickly cut out the circle. It doesn't have to be done too perfectly because we're just using this to find the halfway points to mark on our cup so that when we cut it we have an evenly cut in half piece. So we're going to fold this in half, and that will give us our 2 points that we're going to need to cut our cup. So we're going to put that on top here, and taking a Sharpie, just mark where that starting point is going to be. So that we know where we're going to be cutting. So we're going to cut this exactly in half. So then we're going to put this on the bottom. Now it's not, I don't know if it's going to completely line up. I can see that the dot is right there. So I'm going to go try and eyeball and line up with my marking from the top. Now this is all going to get covered so you don't have to worry about it, but I'm going to try and line up with my marking on the top and going at the dot here is the halfway mark. So I'm going to make a line. My Sharpie is dying. You may want to use these garden shears from Dollar Tree because they are really good for cutting through things that are a little bit harder. And again, I'm going from my dot here and I'm aiming towards my line at the bottom of the cup. Now don't panic too much if you get a little bit of broken pieces. It's going to all be covered up, so it won't be too much of a problem. If you'd like to, you can go ahead and cut this with an X-Acto knife. Whoop. I thought this plastic was going to be a lot more flexible than it is. Okay, so now that we have our two pieces, a bit rough, but they're still doable, don't worry. I'm going to take this one. It seems to be, well, this one seems to be the nicer of the two, even though it has this on the bottom, but that's not really a big deal. And we're going to cover this with this twine. Now, if you have a different twine you want to use, I do have one that's a little thicker that I prefer, but I don't know where it is right now. So we're going to use this one because this is also more similar to the Dollar Tree twine. Dollar Tree twine. Putting a little bit of glue here on the bottom. And to get it started, then we're going to be gluing all the way across. Try and be as straight as you can with this. It's a little tough initially getting started, but do the best you can. Okay, then we're going to go around the back side, and that's how we're going to be continuing on. The back here, if you want to, now that I came back around, put a little glue at the base on that bottom edge so this has something to adhere to initially until we get some more of our rows going around it. And then keep going until we've covered the whole thing. As you get closer to the top, you are going to want to put some glue because you don't want this to be coming off. So here on the back as you're coming around a little bit, and also a little bit on the front. Now just when you get to the end, if you're at the end over here, just come around, cut it off, and we're going to actually just glue this piece down to the back. We need to cover this bottom part too, which is going to add extra stability since we do have some broken parts. For this, I'm actually going to recommend using some other type of glue because it's really hard to get this all wrapped around and not have that hot glue dry because the twine is so thin. So if you have some kind of fix-all adhesive or some E6000, cover the base with your adhesive. We'll be continuing all the way around until we get the entire bottom side of this covered up. So my last little dot in there, I finished off with the hot glue gun so that it would stick better and finish off. Okay, so now we're going to be taking and centering on here, and then we'll be gluing that down. And then I'm going to be putting a good amount of glue back behind here. And also up the very side edge of the cup so that we know that that part, which is actually more solid, will stick and not just be sticking with the string. I'm actually going to add a tiny bit more of my twine up here because I don't like that that purple part is showing. Now we're going to be adding a little bit of twine up here at the top. But before we do that, we're going to take whatever flowers you decided to put, and this is optional, of course, as is everything when you're creating. It's all your own design. I kind of like the way down looks. I think it's really cute. So I think I'm going to go ahead and glue mine going downward. Now we'll be taking our twine. Give yourself some extra there to be able to twist around with. So I'm going to be gluing this, coming this way so that I can cover up these ends, and then wrap around, and we'll be tying in a bow at the end. You're going to want to put a little bit of glue on this edge and on this edge so that as you wrap around it doesn't slide and move. So decide how far up you think you're going to want to wrap your twine and add a little bit of hot glue on each side. When you get it looking like you want, put a little glue in the back to end it, and then cut off the excess. I'm going to just take a little bit excess here, probably, I don't know, maybe about, I don't know, two feet or so, a couple feet. That's probably a little more than a couple feet, but anyway. And I'm going to wrap it around here and tie it in a cute little bow. And I want to show you something because here I am, 53 years old, and just recently learned how to tie a bow so that it doesn't end up sideways or crooked. So what I'm going to show you, so you see how when you tie your initial knot, the one side goes down, the one side goes up. You make your loop, and then if this side is already, you see that it's already up above, you're going to come around from the top and then push it through and tie it. This way you will get a good bow every time. Now I'm just going to show you if, so it just happens the way that I tie, I put right over left and then put it through. So my left side ends up on top. But if you're someone that ties the other way, so left over, look, I can't even do that, left over right, and this right side ends up on top, then you're going to make your loop and you're going to be coming from the bottom side, which is where this already is, and coming through. So this will give you a great bow every time. And it was such an epiphany when I learned this, because it's even silly, but it's something that a lot of people struggle with, is tying a good bow. And even tying your shoes, it can make a difference. So that's my tip for the day. Anyway, now that we got that tied, I'm going to actually throw a little bit of glue in underneath there, because I want my bow to stay a bow and to not untie. I'll be gluing my ends kind of underneath in place so that those don't move either, and also keeps my bow from untying. And here we have our cute little farmhouse decor wall hanging that you can, I don't know if you have like a pens or pencils, you want to keep this near your phone, or you maybe keep it in your bedroom and put your makeup brushes or your lip pencils or eye pencils or whatever type of things you have. Use your imagination. You can use this for just about anything. Maybe you can glue a clip on here for some post-it notes and keep your pens in there so that it's handy when you have it near the phone. So there you have it.